Hey, this is Ryan of Happy Healthy Vegan. Well, in the vegan social media world this week, especially on Facebook, there's this video that's been just kind of blowing up from TED Ed. TED, if you haven't heard of them, they produce a series of conferences, typically lectures given by experts and leaders in their various fields. TED Ed, though, is a side project of theirs. It's an education effort. So this video that's got vegans all upset this week is put out by a low-carb educator, and he's trying to educate people, the youth of America and the world, how having too many carbs adversely affects our health by raising our insulin levels and increasing insulin resistance, and contributes to cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes.
Whether your food tastes sweet or not, sugar is sugar, and too many carbs can be a problem.
Well, many of us vegans dread being undercarbed, but this guy's saying being overcarbed is a problem. Let's see how.
Soda and white bread have a similar glycemic index because they have a similar effect on your blood sugar. And foods like eggs, cheese, and meats have the lowest glycemic index.
All right, enough's enough. Time now for some truth.
Meat is insulinogenic. There's a paper by Holt and colleagues, 1997, insulin index of foods. It went through about 50 different foods, and eating beef causes a greater spike in insulin than white potatoes and white pasta, and more insulin. And if that's the villain, right, then you'd stay away from the meat.
Gotta love Dr. Greger from nutritionfacts.org to always have the science straight here. Yeah, he rightly points out that meat spikes your insulin just as much as many of these dreaded high-carb foods. But it gets worse. Let me show you here how meat really spikes your insulin levels.
If you do like a glucose challenge test to test for diabetes, where you drink a certain amount of sugar, this is the kind of spike in insulin you get. But if you take in the exact same amount of sugar, but with some meat added, you get this. And the more meat you add, the worse it gets.
So if low-carbers were truly concerned about spiking insulin levels, they would be vegan, right? But don't meet too many of them.
Chronically consuming a lot of carbohydrates may lead to insulin resistance, and many scientists believe that insulin resistance leads to a serious condition called metabolic syndrome.
Chronically consuming a lot of carbohydrates? What the F?
It increases the risk of developing conditions like cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes.
But if you look at the Cornell-Oxford-China project, rural plant-based diets centered around rice were associated with relatively low risk of the so-called diseases of affluence, which includes diabetes. Maybe Asians just genetically don't get the same blood sugar spike when they eat white rice? No, if anything, people of Chinese ethnicity get higher blood sugar spikes.
So maybe you'll want to take a pass on that pasta, sushi roll, pita burrito, donut burger sandwich.
Wait, did I just hear donut mentioned there in that list of high-carb foods? That just shows you how most people, even low-carb educators, really are kind of clueless as to what foods are high in carbs. Let's take a look at a glazed donut. Nearly half of its calories come from fat. It's not a high-carb food.
I mean, the cause of prediabetes, the cause of type 2 diabetes is insulin resistance. What causes insulin resistance? It's intramyocellular lipid. It's fat that's inside the muscle fibers that interferes with insulin signaling.
Yes, now Dr. Greger is getting into what actually causes diabetes. It's from fat in your muscle cells. It's not from carbs. You don't get fat from carbs. You get fat from eating fat.
Because glucose is there outside the cell trying to get inside. In order to get in, it needs a key, and that key is insulin. Intramyocellular lipid is fat inside your muscle cells, and that is what interferes with insulin's ability to work like a key to signal glucose coming in.
And that's Dr. Neil Barnard, a vegan doctor who's written several books on preventing and treating diabetes with a vegan diet, with a plant-based diet. And let's see how putting people on a meatless, low-fat diet actually helps diabetes.
If fat is the issue, what if we have a diet that has effectively no fat in it? Well, where does fat come from? It comes from two sources: animal products, animal fat, and vegetable oils. So we brought in 99 people, and we asked them to do two things: to really eat a bounty of food, not worrying about quantity. We are not counting carb grams. What we're doing instead is we're setting the animal product aside, keeping the vegetable oils low.
Cool, that's pretty much how we roll here too at Happy Healthy Vegan. So how did it turn out?
We published our findings in peer-reviewed journals. The American Diabetes Association now cites it and accepts this as an effective approach.
What's our number 1 cause of death? Number 2 cause of death? Go down the list. These are largely diet-related diseases, and to tell people to eat these kind of diets that it's not that it's not based on science. The science is the opposite. This is not the Dr. Greger diet versus the Dr. Atkins diet. It's the science. It's centuries of science versus the latest fad that someone wants to sell books over.
FYI, this low-carb educator's name is Richard J. Wood. He's an assistant professor of exercise and a self-proclaimed low-carb researcher. He's been on Jimmy Moore's show, the Livin' La Vida Low-Carb podcast. So if this low-carb proponent could get a video on TED-Ed, I don't see any reason why a proper video can't be made by a vegan educator. Maybe we can get one of these vegan doctors that I've showed here, or if you know a proper vegan educator that has the credentials and the knowledge to produce a video that shows what the truth is about a high-carb diet, how it's the furthest thing in the world from being associated with heart disease and diabetes and all these killer diseases that these low-carbers claim. In fact, it's the best diet you should be on. So anyway, post your questions and comments down below. Did you see this video from this low-carb educator earlier in the week? Did you see it on Facebook? Did you get pissed off like we all did? Let me know down below of your thoughts and reactions to it. If you got some of this video, hit like and share it with a friend who's been giving you crap about a high-carb diet after watching this video online. And subscribe for more from me and Angie here at Happy Healthy Vegan. So until next time, guys, keep it carb. In fact, go out and chronically carb it, baby.
And they're telling people to eat exactly what's causing the disease. In fact, that's why obesity is associated with diabetes, because you can get fat in your bloodstream, which gets in your muscles, 2 ways, either through your mouth or your fatty tissues. Actually, what's called a spillover effect.